Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Trader Babes. I am Erica. As always, please like and subscribe and follow our Twitter at Trader Babes. I am joined by Aria, and we have both had a very long day, and we are very excited for the comedy musings of our next guest.
Yes, I'm very excited for this. This is our first guest that is pretty much only options trader, correct?
Yeah. They're an options specialist in sapphire trading. The identity has been debated, but they are a highly respected source of information for options trading, and their name is Ellis Dillinger. Hi, Ellis. Can you hear us?
Oh, yes, I can. Hello. How's everyone?
Good. How are you doing today? How was your trading day?
Today was actually the most fantastic day ever. I actually tweeted out earlier that today was glorious. I was busy at market open, but all my puts, they have printed today. I've been screaming a bear for like the last week, and everyone thought I was crazy. But we broke down a bunch of key levels on ES, woke up, sold some puts, and enjoyed the rest of my day. So it was pretty good.
Oh, you'd love Aria then, because she has been saying for a while now that this was the week. This was finally going to be the week. She called the top on crypto, and then she had divine intervention that told her it was going to be this week, didn't
Yes.
you?
When it all comes down, it was a very good day today, to say the least, but also, of course, just very crazy.
I will say, though, that there will be a bigger move. I honestly think ES test 4,000. So I would say I'm probably about mostly scaled out. But if we rip tomorrow, I will be loading pretty heavy. It's also OPEX week, which is options expiration week. So a lot of action is very choppy. Like you saw today, they dropped FOMC minutes. I typed in the chat. I was like, I thought the algos were going to take it. The algos actually dumped it. Immediately, a dark pool came in and then just squeezed all the shorts. So I always recommend, like, during these weeks, if you're new to options, like, just don't trade, because what they do is, imagine like the option chain is like a wave, right? So the market maker is gonna have to take the stock up and down and just wash out the call buyers and the put buyers, and you just get a lot of choppy action. So that's why I haven't really been too active this week, other than a few overnights and plays I've been into before.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, by the way, because you are the first mainly option specialist we've had a chance to speak to.
Yes, options are my life, sadly.
Well, they're coming more and more popular when, Pennyland is dead and people don't know what to trade. And so they're like, this is how I play the ETFs, is by options, and it's dangerous to just try and jump in like that. But I think that you'll have a lot of really good insight for our listeners. Have you been trading options a long time? Like, when did you first start?
So I started trading when I was 16. I always tell people I'm an investor first. I strongly believe for anyone under the age of, let's say, 25, if you don't have a long-term portfolio, you should not be trading. 90% of my net worth / wealth is in long-term investments. I don't sell, I just buy. My grandfather's actually the one who got me into investing. So this was probably when I was like 16, me and him were drinking beers, like, fishing or whatever. And he told me, he's like, hey, like, what the Qs are? I'm like, oh yeah, like QQQ, like the NASDAQ. He's like, yeah, I was one of the first buyers of it. I was like, well, why'd you buy it? He's like, I don't know, man. I don't understand tech, so I figured it'd be worth a lot of money one day. So that's how I got started. And his other tip was, buy something you like and don't look at it after 10 years. And I really take that, and I really push, like, a lot of people that ask me about trading. I'm like, you should have a 90-10 split. All the big guys, I talked to them personally many times, they all have massive portfolios. It's one of the unwritten rules of trading that people kind of forget, because they want the money now, not later.
Is your grandfather Warren Buffett by any chance?
No. My grandfather is he's actually a mechanic. he didn't graduate high school or anything. He was born in like 1930, and he's just a hustler. So much respect to him, and he's taught me a lot of just stuff about life and discipline. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's a very good advice. I also tell people that, try to put your profits from day trading in the long term. You have to have a long-term portfolio.
And the cool thing about having a long-term portfolio is you can really leverage it. And that's kind of how I got introduced to options. Selling covered calls and selling cash secured puts. They're literally free money if you understand support and resistance. All you need is the capital, and that's a lot of the reason why people don't want to do it. So that and leaps. So I started a position in DraftKings before it even changed tickers. So it was called DEAC, and I loaded a bunch of leaps on it. And my gains from $19, $20 to when it hit highs of 60s were amplified many, many zeros just because I had the leaps. So you can just buy leaps, and they're a lot safer. And if you're good with a little bit of technical analysis, you get paid every day, and you don't have to freak out about the drawdowns.
Can you tell us a little bit about cash secured puts?
So cash secured puts are exactly as they sound. So when normally people trade options, they buy a put, right, expecting the price to go down. In this case, you are now the market maker, right? And my favorite thing I tell people is go on Robinhood, and instead of hitting buy a put, go to sell a put, and it'll tell you, okay, so for, let's say a stock is $100, you need $100 times 100 in cash, and then you can sell the put. So that's the only problem, is you need to have a lot of cash available. A really good idea is, if it's like a penny stock that's really, really running, you can just sell puts on it, because let's say the stock is $5 stock, you can sell puts on it the whole way up, and you can also amplify your profits by doing that if you're still holding or if you have some cash on the side. And it's, instead of 20% profitability from a call, you're close at like 90, 95%. So there's a guy in our Discord named Man Diapers. He's actually one of my really good buddies, and that's what he does, and that's how he trades options. He's excellent at it. So if you ever have questions, you can reach out to him too. He teaches me new stuff every day as well.
And do you sell the cash secured put spreads as well, or do you just do singulars?
No, I don't do credit spreads. Because credit spreads, you have a lot of assignment risk, and I don't want to be assigned $100 worth of Amazon, 100 shares of Amazon right now. So I just don't mess with credit spreads. Also, it's not really good for a high volatility market because there's big swings up and down. So
yeah,
so that's how I got started.
And did you start with a small account though?
Yes.
Like with your options?
Yes, I did. So I joined Sapphire in January 2020. I was actually part of Rob Trades when he first was like coming up in the scene, and I used to just go on my IRA and just like buy whatever he told me, and it was in the market where everything was running 100%. So I would just like wake up next morning. I didn't even know what PDT was, nothing. And then I was like, all right, like this is pretty neat. So I found another Discord, which is Sapphire, and I had like $50 in my Robinhood. I'm 25, so I was still in university at the time. And it was right when the coronavirus happened, and I was on YouTube and I was watching this guy, which I highly recommend. His name's Trading Fraternity. He does hours of tutorials and like does news every night. And he was saying how the Fed is going to cut interest rates, like for an emergency, which is what they did. So he said, I'm going to buy TLT calls, right? So I bought one for $50, and like 2 weeks later, I woke up to $5,000 in my account, like overnight. And that was like a real
disclaimer. You can't expect that to happen every single time.
So unless there's another pandemic, it's probably never going to happen again. And then I got lucky again because there was a stock called GNPX, and I fell in love with this company. Like I was married to it, which is rule number one. You don't marry anything. I told all my friends about it. I told my boss, I told my mom, I told my whole family, my friend's boss, everyone. We were all loaded at 33 cents. And this stock ran to $7. I think it was like $5.50 when I sold it, but it's now I think like $6. And that's when it just went downhill from there. Well, up in a good way, downhill. But
uphill.
Yeah. So, and I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know how to read charts. I'm an accountant by trade, so I can read financials. I understand how money works. And I woke up one morning and I'm getting screenshots from my friend's dad, like, hey, like, you made me like $15,000. Like, I just want to say thank you. I was like, hey, like, yeah. So that's how it all started. But it wasn't a smooth ride, because what happens when you have a big win and when you're new is you're going to have drawdowns almost immediately afterwards. So I did really, really well when everything was just ripping, like you buy calls and anything. And then when the summer market came towards September, my account went to zero. So like flat zero. And I can talk about how that happened.
Oh,
So.
actually, that's exactly where we're going next. Thank you. But just to clear something, you started trading when you were 16, but you became actively trading options last year.
Yeah, so I used to do the cash cash covered calls and stuff when I was in college. So I guess like a background. So I'm 25. I graduated with a degree in accounting and finance from a school in my area. And so we learned about options stuff in finance class. And
they taught you that?
Yeah, they do teach you options in that. Yeah, it depends on the university, but yeah, I took like an investments class, but I just learned it from school, and they didn't really teach you like buying and buying puts and calls. It was more so how to hedge against market weakness. So that's all I knew how to do. And then once I did that TLT play, I was like, hey, there's a lot of money to be made on the other side too, but it's a lot more risky.
Yeah. So you started learning how to hedge in school, which gave you a huge advantage over the rest of us.
I wouldn't say that. Yeah, college education is always important, but
right. No, I meant from the trading aspect, because not a lot of us got that, but that's an incredible foundation to begin with. So that kind of goes into our next question was, how did you learn? So you utilized your background education combined with kind of doing your own side research on things like YouTube and talking in Sapphire?
Yeah, so I learned a lot from YouTube, especially when it comes to basics. Like I know the Greeks, I didn't know how to chart. And I get this question all the time, like, hey, I want to learn how to trade. Can I go to school and do that? Like, school's not going to teach you how to chart, because charting it's more of an art form, and it's up for, like, you can't really test on it. Like, oh, is just your trend line perfect? You're not going to spend money on that. So they just teach you more so like what market makers do, what hedge funds do. But yeah, so I hit that big win. I felt like the man, I do identify as a male. I guess I should get that out of the way. I'm not, in fact, a female who puts hot rollers in their hair and smokes cigarettes.
Which is just a disappointment to us.
Everyone's gonna be upset when they see it, where they hear my voice.
They're gonna refuse. They're gonna say you hired someone to speak
for
you.
Yeah, I've already gotten DMs like, "Are you using a voice changer?" I'm like, "Nah, like this is me." And like so my team, like they know who I am. I will talk about emotions and taking losses. That's probably the hardest thing people don't understand when it comes to options is you're gonna have drawdowns. Like Friday, when I'm all in puts and the market's ripping % a minute, like moon mission, my account's down 8-12%, right? Like I'm taking huge drawdowns, but I have a plan and I have a thesis. I'm not gonna, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm not gonna. My plan is my plan. I don't theater. I write it all down, and I sometimes I post the plays in Sapphire. Like, this is what I'm going to do at each level. And people are messaging me like, we're losing money. I didn't sell a thing. And then today my account's now up 8-12%. So like there's a bunch of things that I post in Sapphire like every single day that people who have survived trading options can repeat. Okay, what's rule 1 of options, right? Risk management. What is risk management? Absolutely, positively, no more, if you're new, than 3 to 5% of your account. No more. If you go over it, you're gonna have a bad time. You can't size up and just to quote unquote average down. You can't. Like, so that's number 1.
A lot of people think that when we say, I've said this before, and somebody, they think that when you say 3 to 4% of your account, they automatically think 3 to 4% of your position. That's not the same thing.
No, it's your cash in your account. There's a difference between account value and your cash account value, right? I could have an account of, say, let's say $100,000, but $60,000 is in stocks, right? So that means that leaves me with $40,000 cash, and then you take 3 to 5% of that. Cash is
Right.
king.
Yeah,
That's-
something that like when I've been asked that question, my favorite answer to give is like, there really is no magical number that is right with everyone. I just say only put up what you're willing to lose with options because
Yeah.
it very well could go to zero. So only risk the number that you're okay with losing.
Absolutely. And another statistic that I repeat over and over again is statistically 90% of all options expire worthless, right? So are you going to give me $1,000 to do something that has a 90% chance of being given back to you at zero?
Do you have a ballpark number of for each position, what type of stop loss percentage you place on your trades, not like on your account, but like on the option that you
Yeah.
ran?
So the rule of thumb mainly is for newer traders is 50%. The only issue is when you trade options, as long as I am, like I'm kind of like a old, humbled, like degenerate veteran of the game. Like I've had options go from down 90% to rip 300% the next day. So, and I'm an account size where I'm in the position where I can take absolute losses because I have a plan. I'm not going to go too big into something and blow myself up. Like if it goes to zero, it goes to zero. So 50%, I would say, is probably your best bet. Like just cut it at 50 and you can always re-enter.
That's true.
Yeah.
And that's like day trading, you know, with all stop losses. That's your day trading rule is that, you know, you cut and then you can re-enter. Do you have like specific stocks that you prefer to trade options on? Do you prefer to do large caps? What are your parameters?
Yeah, so definitely large caps. I used to mainly only trade like the high flyers, like Tesla and like the Neos, like the ones that move crazy percentage every day. And every night, so I spend an hour every night and I go over my trades and what works and what doesn't. And I realized playing these high flyers where I have to give, it's called true range I use. It's an indicator on TOS. And if I'm have to give stocks like $3 ranges, it just gets choppy. So right now I trade mainly ETFs. I've been trading IWM, the SPYs. I shorted AMD. I like the slow movers where I can know my levels are good, my thesis is good, and I can just get consistent gains.
And do you set specific parameters for choosing your contract? Like, do you have limits for your delta, for your IV, anything like that?
I don't necessarily look at the Greeks too much. The number one thing I look at is open interest or volume. I see a lot of these guys on Twitter and they'll post like these huge gains to their chat room. But when I actually look at the contracts they're buying, it has like 200 open interest, meaning there's 200 people in the world that bought that contract. Like I don't want that because it's very easy to manipulate those if you know what you're doing. So I like things that just have massive amounts of OI because you'll see that's where the money's stacked up. So when the market maker's moving the stock, they're going to try to either get you in the money so you can sell out so they can bring it higher or lower depending on which direction you're going. So I like high OI. And you'll see it when you look at the chain, like one position, let's say SPY 400 puts will have 100,000 OI. You want that higher liquidity and better spreads.
Of course.
Right,
We always want high liquidity with whatever we're trading, right? If there's no volume there, then you're just going to sit and then time is your enemy on options.
I've been there. I actually had someone message me the other day. They bought like a put or something on some like penny stock. And he messaged me like, oh, I'm up like 200%. And I'm like, so I pull it up. I'm like, well, there's no one on the bid and the ask is $2. So who are you going to sell it to?
Yeah, I'm guilty of being there.
Yeah, it happens all the time, especially with small cap options. Never, ever, I do trade them, I will admit, but don't trade small cap options if you're new. Just don't even touch them. Don't even look at them.
Don't. It's interesting when you do start trading, you understand there are differences between, for instance, Amazon and Tesla out of the money calls versus SPY and Apple. So usually Tesla and Amazon, the out of money calls, they might not move at all. Like with a big move in Amazon, if there is not a healthy uptrend showing on the daily chart where swing traders want to enter and want to buy those calls. But with SPY, like, so if you really want to like give something a shot with out of money call, you have to see what out of money calls constantly do move with even those smaller moves, and that would be like SPY and Apple to an extent. So
Agreed.
that's
Another thing I recommend to people is I use Webull to trade. That's a little fun fact. I have a margin account and a cash account, both. I like cash accounts, so I don't overtrade. That's a story for another day. But look at the chain. You can set up on your desktop, so you can have the chart and then you have the option chain, and you'll see how it moves. And I can look at an option chain. I can tell you, okay, this is where everyone's lined up, and these are where the shorts are and the longs are, and here we are somewhere in the middle. I can tell you so much about a stock just based off the option chain.
Would you show us an example of
Here,
that?
let me-
Like of just
yeah.
of any stock, like if we did a screen share so that our viewers could see. What
Do you
you're
know any
talking
stocks
about?
that have earnings this week? We can do McDonald's. McDonald's is a
Perfect.
good one. McDonald's has a lot of liquidity as
that's a
well.
good one.
Okay, so I use Webull. So here's the chart. Here's my indicators. I don't like this setup. I'm just going to tell you right now. I know a lot of people do,
All right.
but
Everybody
yeah.
pay attention. This is good stuff. This is
So,
earning play
yeah.
with options. Okay?
I'll do indicators and everything. So for penny stocks, I use and large caps, so mainly penny stocks. I use a 20, 50, and 200 SMA. That's what I notice a lot of the algos are lined up at. So, but we'll go here to the option chain. So here's the option chain, right? People look at this because they're used to the pretty Robinhood and they get immediately overwhelmed, right? So on this side, you have the calls. On this side, you have the puts. So right here, here's a strike price. Okay. Now we know that McDonald's has earnings tomorrow. So we're going to look at the next strike price from the share price. Okay. So what do I know about earnings by looking at this? So you're looking for the implied move. So before earnings, you can take this number. So we have 49, right? Which is $49, and you have $2.74, right? So that is what the market maker is pricing on both sides. So they're betting that on McDonald's, when they report earnings, is either going to go up by 49 cents or down by $2.74, according to this chart. And you'll notice when companies actually do report, I get asked this all the time, is these numbers, like when it says after hours, McDonald's is, let's say, down $2.74. It'll literally be to the penny. Like it's exactly what it is, because that's how the algos work, right? So I always check that because that's the implied move. But notice how they're pricing way more. Not really. They're pricing more to the downside here, but it's also because today was kind of a wonky day. As you can see, these are in the money and now plus 500 and 150%. Okay, so now let's look. So now I immediately check open interest. That's all I care about is open interest. I don't really care about all these fancy gamma and deltas. I know the personality of the stock. McDonald's just moves like molasses sometimes, because I wouldn't buy, like you can see, it's super far out of the money and has 8 open interest. No one's going to buy that off you. Like, notice the spread, right? Like, it's garbage. You don't want that. So you would buy something, say you're betting McDonald's was going to beat. It's also a little bit later in the week. So if you were betting, you wanted a quick lotto, you can grab this 10 here. You buy the ask or try to buy the middle because it has at least 1,000 open interest. Now, I see all the time people like on Twitter will like talk about some random stock I've never heard of or never traded. And you come to the open interest and it looks like this. There's 30 contracts. Well, obviously they're going to make money because whoever they're posting it to, they're going to just start slapping the ask, and the person that posted it's going to make 20% or 30% or 100%. And you don't want to get involved with that. You want high liquidity. So let's look up SPY. All right. You're going to see just insane amounts of liquidity on here.
That's my favorite thing about SPY is that
like
you
look,
can always trade it.
If you want like a $1 lotto, you could buy it off someone, right? Well, this is today's expiry, but so actually
look at that one on the call side, 42,000 open interest. Now there's a nice liquid contract.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. But wait, let's look at this Friday. So you can also look like, okay. So the market was kind of choppy this week. It's OPEX. Like, what are they really pricing it? So you got 10,000 OI here.
107 right? Down further too, 420.
Yeah. So you can just kind of look like, okay, there's a lot of people lined up at 420 SPY. So they're betting by the end of this week, that SPY is going to hit 420, right? And then we can go $10 down, which is 400. And you have 131,000 people betting that SPY is going to hit 400 this week. Do you notice the difference?
Right.
So you have 131,000 people here, and you have 107,000 here. Same standard deviation, right? So you can look, okay, today was a down day. This has almost 30,000 more open interest than all the other contracts. So you can use that in your
You get the
thesis.
standard deviation to pick that
Standard
color.
deviation, I just know from looking at it, it's probably not called standard deviation, to be completely honest with you. You can look that up on TOS, but I just call it 10 strike prices. That's normally for SPY, it'd be a 3 standard deviation move, maybe a little more, a little bit less. It's all nerd talk, but it's on, well, I know Tasty Work does it in TOS too. You just gotta look at it.
And tell us what you were talking about being able to see shorts and things like that through the options chain before I asked you to show us.
So, well, you can see right here. So you have 131,000 people lined up at 400, right? And they're put buyers. So someone's going to have to get washed out. It's either going to be the longs down here at 107, or it's going to be the shorts.
Oh, so you're saying basically that this standard deviation point is possibly where they're hedging too?
Yeah. So today the market gap down, where actually yesterday is when they were buying puts, because you have to realize when it comes to options and large caps, it's 100% manipulated. Like, it's so obvious, like, that once you realize that, you stop getting less mad. Like yesterday, what did they do? I think yesterday was slightly down, or did we rip yesterday? I think Monday is when we ripped. No, down, up, down. That's how it's been. So while the market's ripping, especially in May, because sell in May and go away, they're going to rip the markets on 0 volume. Here, I have my chart. I wonder if I still have my levels. This is my weekly. So they're going to rip it on 0 volume. So today, let's see. So 81 million, 100 million, but you'll see on bigger moves, you get 134 million volume. Like, that's true volume. Up here when the market's ripping, right? We made all-time highs. What is this? 40 million? It's all.
I noticed that too. It was a volume dried up. There was just nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's much easier to cause a big move when there's no volume. It's because all you got to do is you go to your hedge fund's office and you go, hey, boss, we bought a bunch of puts, right? They flip the switch out, and they just do what's called an algo sell, and they just dump the markets. It happens all the time. Today, I wonder if I still have it up in here. I trade on the 10-minute intraday.
Do you ever utilize options flow as well?
No, because here, I'll stop sharing my screen.
You know more than
no, because
too.
They're kind of gimmicky. I know a lot of people love black box stocks and all that, but the problem is it just shows you where the volume is and what people are looking for, but it doesn't tell you if whoever made that transaction is buying the contract or selling the contract. And there's a huge difference between the two. You can look at time and sales on Thinkorswim, but I do own an algo flow. It's Unusual Whales, just because I love that guy on Twitter.
Me too. He's amazing.
Yeah, I really like everything. I don't know if it's a he, she, or whatever, but shout out to Unusual Whales.
It's not a he or a she. It's a whale. It's an
He went from like 20,000 followers to like overnight 100K.
Well, that's what happens when your meme game is that strong.
Oh, his meme game's fire. He's always commenting, and he gets a lot of respect from a lot of people I look up to. And options, any edge is good. So someone showed me something a long time ago that if you're 30% right in options with a proper risk management plan, you're break even. Okay. Now, if you understand support and resistance, now you're 35% win rate. Add some other cool indicators that you can use. Now you're at 40. One thing I forgot to touch on is risk reward.
When you say 35%, win rate, that's probably with a strategy where even if you lose 7 out of 10, yes, your risk reward, you win a lot more on those 3 trades. And
yeah, I should have, thank you for clarifying. I should have added a little more to it. I don't want people going like, oh, if I throw my account all in 10 different times, I'm going to start winning. Like it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, could you elaborate for our viewers, like how to kind of have a good risk management strategy?
Okay, absolutely. That's enough. So I mentioned the 5% of the account. That's a golden rule. I see people break it all the time, and I will DM them and yell at them like all the time.
You gotta tag them in the Discord. You can use a GIF or is it GIF? I don't know, to make them realize their mistake.
I just like people message me for help, and then I go through their messages. I'm like, okay, well, this is why, and I give them help. And sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. But as far as risk management in options, you have to realize that you're risking 100% of your capital. Not every time if you use a stop loss, but like I said, statistically, your option is going to go to zero. So I have to ask the person, why are you taking profits at 10%? That's not 10% in penny land's good, but in options, you're risking 100% to make 10%. It doesn't make sense. You have to learn that discipline and trust your charting and trust your thesis to give it that extra 50%. And then, so my golden rule is at 50%, I always sell at least one contract. I buy in threes. So when I say I'm scaling in, or I post on Twitter, it means I'm buying threes, always in threes, because you sell one at 50% and then one between 50 and 100%, just so you have that last one. We call that house money. So that contract goes to zero. Your trades either break even or you have a little bit of profit. That's your goal is to always keep scaling out. So your final position, we call it rolling in options, house money, however you want to phrase it. You want that last contract to literally be free. So you don't have to monitor it. You can sell it whenever you want, or say it's a little bit red. You just get rid of it and you're still in the green.
And you said, just to recap, your stop loss that you calculate is based on 50% of the premium price, not a 50% drop in price in the stock. Just in case anyone is confused.
Yes, but say this trade does start going your way, right? You want to scale out slowly. Like, okay, you hit your first target, say it's a support or resistance, depending which way you're going, just sell one. Don't people in options want home runs because of TikTok. There was some guy in our room who made like 360K off like American Airline calls, and like left to go start his own paid room. But you win big and then you lose big. You want to have a risk management plan and whatever works for you. Our room, we have, I think it's 2 scalpers. Sam and Arcane are both scalpers. Side note, Sam's like one of my good buddies for like 3 years, so from Discord. And then Arcane scalps, and then me and Man Diapers are mainly swingers because we work full time. We don't really want to check every day. So find something that works for you, and don't stress if you lose, because if you didn't put all your money in it, it's just a little hiccup along the road.
Mm-hmm. And I have a question for you. When you're scaling out with your options, are you calculating what the premium price will be so that you can go ahead and set those orders in advance? Or are you placing alerts on the underlying stock price when it gets near your scale out level so that you can set your sell order on your contract?
Excellent question. Yes, that is exact. I use optionprofitcalculator.com, and I know, let's say I'm trading $100 stock and it's going to go to $105. It'll tell you what the premium is, and I will set my sell there. And as I'm scaling out, I'm also moving up my stop loss. So once I sell one for profit, the rest I'm out at break even. So it's automatically a profitable trade. I don't give it much wiggle room. I had what was the stock I was trading the other day? Something I scaled out of, and I hit like my first target at 50%, and then it started going red. I just got rid of it. I'm like, I'm already in the green. I'll deal with it later.
Yeah, you don't want it to eat away into your profits.
That happened on my small account. I lost like, I don't even know how much money, because I was up like 200% on a SPY put spread, and I sold one. I had 2 spreads. I sold one, and the other one just left. Didn't set my stop loss, and it just ate everything. So it happens. It happens all the time.
Speaking of your small account, is that where you're trading the DOGE coin?
Oh yeah. So I got in a fight with Robinhood support a couple weeks ago. Somehow,
You know, you can trade it on Webull now, right?
yeah, but it's supposed to settle with cash. But I use Coinbase. Yeah, my Coinbase account before all this happened was absolute madness. Shout out to Mitch Picks. He's actually my mentor and one of my really good friends who taught me how to trade and changed my life. So him and I we just talk crypto all the time, and like we were just buying everything. And like my Coinbase account was, oh my god. But yeah, so with Dogcoin, I told myself I wouldn't trade it on a small account because I knew I was going to lose money because it trades 24/7. And as a stock trader, you don't sleep because you're checking futures, which I'm now getting into. But yeah, I lost like $600. I sold for profit, but apparently Robinhood was having technical difficulties and they thought I was buying more. So they filled me my entire small account at 62 cents, and then it just stopped trading, right? And I had no idea because I got no notifications, nothing until like a couple hours later, and I was down like probably like 800. It's $800. So it just completely wiped out my small account, which is now back up to the previous levels. But I was so mad. I sent them screenshots and like everything, and they just like, oh, do you want Robinhood Gold? Like, and Robinhood, if you're trading crypto, you don't actually own the coin. You own a placeholder / like bookmark in the tape. You don't actually own the coin, so you can't buy anything with it. Like you can't transfer it to another wallet. It's literally a casino. And I tell people that Robinhood is a casino, and just don't use it. But I like it for a small account. It's really easy to use. You can trade like super crazy spreads on it with like $1,000 in your account. So the number one thing is don't trade earnings. It's another thing. It's gambling. So I look at the option train to see what it's pricing in because I play the earnings run up, and that's where the real money is made because you can turn your calls into spreads. But so I'll look at it. So the number one thing you have to look at is the stock at all-time highs? Okay, if it is, it's most likely going to sell off on earnings with like Apple and Amazon did. They hit all-time highs and then bloop, all sold off.
Well, how about besides earnings? Do you always check your daily charts as well?
Absolutely. So like I said, I use the 20, the 50, and the 200. And I like to buy on those levels because that's what the algos are watching, right? So the 50 SMA, falling wedges to the 50 SMA, they're also called the Holy Grail setup. Shout out to Trader Stewie on Twitter for teaching that. But that's one of my favorite setups to do just because it's so consistent over time. So if you'll see like a hammer on the 50 SMA, give it like a day or two. And if it's not bouncing, you can add some calls because there's a good chance in a strong bull market that it's going to bounce and you can make a decent percentage overnight.
That's actually what I did today. I had a heavy short position on the market, and the low landed on the 55 EMA, which is the same as 50. It's just how you like to make it smoother. I exited, and there was a bounce right off of that. So if it's so important when you're doing any kind of trading to have your daily chart up. I always have it up. I'm married to my daily chart. I hang out with my weekly chart. I chill with my 5 minutes.
Okay. So you have to sleep with, marry, or kill a chart. Go.
I'll do it right now. Kill the 1 minute because that's how you lose money. Okay. Marry the daily and like a one night stand, maybe the 1 hour,
Yeah, I like it. I like your style.
Daily and weekly are by far the best. If you can read a basic daily chart and understand. So I trade a lot of pennants. People call them bull pennants, asymmetrical triangles. That's what I look for. Or weekly bull flags is another good one. That's what I trade. Weekly bull flags is actually the first option setup I learned how to trade because you just get a boatload of time, strong bull market, it'll eventually break out. Obviously, there's a lot more to it, but I keep it simple. Those are probably my 2 setups. And same goes for pennies. Pennies, it's the same thing. I look for asymmetrical triangles on the 20 SMA. That's it. Like I just swung was it DAIO for like 15% overnight. It was some like low float breaking the 52-week highs. I just bought it and I woke up this morning, I made 15%. No alerts, no nothing, just let it do its thing. For support, a lot of people always ask me is, what is support and what is resistance, right? Write this down in your journal. It's a line that's horizontal that touches 3 wicks. That's it. It's literally
Yeah,
it.
but moving averages are also considered as support.
Yeah, so you mentioned the 55 EMA. I'm actually learning how to use that indicator. So I just want to give you a shout out. I don't know how to use it or how it works yet, but
Oh my God, there's a lot we can teach each other.
it's funny because that's why I'm learning it, because I heard the same thing. It's forever changing, but I don't really rely on like my indicators. Like, indicators don't make the trader. The trader is a trader no matter what. A real trader can trade any market, anywhere. They don't necessarily need to be like die hard on their indicators. A lot of people think that there's some magical indicator, like, oh, if I use VWAP, I'm going to be over PDT. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't.
So much of indicators, like I mostly use my indicators to know psychological areas that other traders are watching, particularly beginner traders.
Yep.
Very
Charts and
simple.
indicators are emotions. That's what you realize.
Yeah, absolutely. Trading, we're trading against the algos, and it's a mind game. It's survival. It's survival of the fittest. Like,
she just put on her Discord, adapt or die.
Oh yeah, I think mine is something stupid. But
it's true though, because like penny land dries up and crypto falls apart, which Aria called, by the way. Crypto falls apart and people are like, what do I do? What do I do? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to trade. Like, you have got to be able to open yourself up to looking at other areas of the market. I mean, there's literally, honestly, I truly believe it's endless. The ways that you can trade, the different types of trading that you can do. There is always something, like, instead of, just like sitting and like trying to force trades, like I really do. I think so many people like don't want to look outside of their bubble of what they're comfortable to and are comfortable with. And our last guest, he has drilled that into my head. He was like, you have got to be able to adapt to what the market gives you. So I'm gonna that's the theme.
Good.
Of the year.
We all have a theme.
And it's so true. It's so true. I tell people all the time, like, so, okay, penny stocks are kind of scammy. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, they're kind of scammy.
Kind of scammy.
Look, like, there's a lot of people who make a lot of money doing penny stocks. I can spot Miami's. I can do all that. It's not that hard. But the real traders are the guys who've been doing it for years and years and years, and they're surviving.
Yeah.
Like the summer, people keep saying small caps are coming back. I've been trading now almost, let's say, 2 years in small caps, give or take. There's no pennies in the summer. There's not. And some 17-year-old on Twitter is telling me there's going to be. I'm like, stop, dude. You got rich off AMC. Like, I don't want to hear it. I've been grinding and doing this forever.
Don't hate on AMC. Not AMC.
Hey. I want to shout out. I don't know if you guys know who Barn Animal is, but yeah. I made him $250,000 off AMC, so he's my best friend now.
Is he okay with you sharing his profit amount? Because now,
yeah, he posted on Twitter. It's public information. Okay. But can't, like, people think like, oh, so someone tweets out something, it's $1 stock, and the PT's 10. 90% of people that read it think it's actually going to $10, but like, I'll scalp it, or if I catch it in advance. What was the other one? We call it LIVX, whatever, like a day or two ago, because you just sit there. I sit in Atlas Live Scanner and I hear LIVX. I look at the tape. It's painted with like $500,000 worth of buys. I slap it and it goes up 20%. Like, you can catch it. But the problem
there's definitely good money to be made in small caps.
You want to know why I trade options? Because you can't do it. You can't. There's no front loading. There's none of that. It's pure technical ability and emotions. That's it. It's raw and gritty. I think anyone that wants to get into trading, I think should trade options, because it'll teach you very, very quickly risk management. It'll teach you large caps, which I think are very important. And you can trade it anytime, anywhere, any market. There's money to be made down. Like, I'm going to make a boatload of money on the way down when the market crashes, hopefully. hopefully. And then
well,
all
and
the way
options
up.
are a form of protection too.
Exactly.
When you're hedging, or when you're hedging against long-term positions or something like that, it's not only dangerous, it's actually a form of protection.
Exactly. And I have I have two portfolios. I have my IRA and like I guess like a play money portfolio, and it's very heavy tech. Obviously, I'm a millennial, so I loaded VIX calls. So I just closed them today, and the drawdown in my long-term portfolio is almost net zero, even though growth has been getting absolutely slaughtered. So you can use it, and you don't have to watch it every day. I loaded VIX calls like 6 weeks ago, and I finally sold some today for like 100%. Like, people would love to do that, but a lot of people think they see day trader, like all these screens trading on the 1 minute, like just scalping for pennies, like that guy on YouTube. You don't need to do that. Be realistic with yourself. And if you have a small account, like put $50, if you have $1,000 account, put $50 into a trade. If you're listening to people in Sapphire and we're talking about scalping, if you take a good couple calls, you can easily build your account. You're not going to go 1K to 50K in a year. It doesn't happen. Be realistic. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, and the mentality, you have to know, like, if you're giving a scalp alert, like, is that person gonna understand that they really have to get out? Because mentality fucks us a lot.
Oh yeah.
So, they have to be very aware that they are that kind of person that will follow their plan.
I can do like a PowerPoint of like basic how not to blow up your account. It would be like 20 minutes and it'll change your life forever. I can even teach basic charting.
Thank you.
When are you available? We'll book it now.
Just let me know. I'm free.
Okay, we'll do it. There you go.
That would be great. Oh, you're not absolutely not.
So coming up on the next episode of Trader Babes is how not to blow up your account from a man with hair rollers smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, I'm hyped.
I really appreciate you coming on and talking with us.
Absolutely. I just want to say out there, like, I'm here to help people. I don't care about clout. I don't care about money. Like, if I can do it, starting with a small amount of money, anyone can do it. Don't give up. Like, if you get really beat, like I've gotten slapped around some days. Like, and I go to the gym, whatever, and I'm just like, this isn't for me. And I wake up the next morning and I review my trades, and I'm like, okay, this is where I messed up. Just, you got to be patient, set realistic goals. You're not buying a Lambo or a Rolex next year. Relax. Okay.
Relax.
So always DM me.
Yeah,
I answer.
that's how the money comes in, when you're calm.
Yeah.
So I just want to say how great this was.
Absolutely. It'll change your life. And if you're a young kid, you understand how to hedge, like really minor hedges, and just how to capitalize on big opportunities. You can make yourself a lot of money just by being smart and trusting your gut. Don't get caught up in the facade of day trading and all that. Like, it's a game. The market's manipulated. Everything's a game. Everyone's out there to get you. Stay humble and keep grinding. So I do.
Yeah, and I can't wait to talk to you too, because I know that you mentioned that you worked full time, but on our next episode we'll touch on this a little bit.
Yes.
But
yes. I'm an accountant.
Yeah, no, but doing the options swinging when you were raised by a single mom.
Yes,
and
I was.
That's like a giant full-time job. So I think that being able to give people who, have other responsibilities, ways to participate in trading where they don't need a wall full of screens and they have to sit there for 20 hours a day. It's so important. And I can't wait to hear more about it.
Absolutely. You let me know and I'll be there. But yes, shout out to my mom. I know she's going to listen.
And
shout out to all the single moms. I was raised by a single mom, so keep grinding. Don't give up. I'm on work like 18 hours a day nonstop, and that's where I get it from. So never give up.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Have a great evening, and we'll talk to you again soon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Want more Trader Babes? Subscribe now and connect with us on social media for exclusive content and access you won't find anywhere else. And we'll see you right here on the next unforgettable episode of Trader Babes.